Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
Why is no one in the media talking about another group claiming that they too have been targeted by the IRS? The group is not a Tea Party group. Instead, it's a pro-Israeli group called Z Street. They were one of the first groups to sue the IRS back in 2010, putting the IRS on notice that because of that litigation, it had to, by law, retain all information that could conceivably lead to admissible evidence in court.
All right, folks, welcome back. And joining us right now is the founder and president of Z Street and U.S. correspondent for the Jewish Press, Lowenthal Marcus. Hey, Lori.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
Great. Good to talk to you again. All right, let's start with this, of course. And why don't you first, let's start backwards. Where are you in the courts with your suit against the IRS for how they allegedly did target your organization?
Well, we had a really significant victory at the end of May. The federal district court in Washington, D.C. Dismissed all of the government's defenses and said that our case was a constitutional law case and that it could go forward finally after 4 years. And we were permitted to begin the discovery process, which of course is the time when you get all of the information about what went on behind the scenes, who did what, when, who came up with this policy, to whom was it applied, and so forth. On the 60th day after that ruling, the last possible minute, the government, the Department of Justice lawyers for the IRS filed a notice of appeal. We don't yet know whether they're actually going to appeal, but they are taking the position, once again, that we are stayed. We cannot go forward with discovery or anything else until the courts rule on any appeal that they may file.
So you're stuck in limbo right now until the courts weigh in.
We are, but we're very hopeful that either the Justice Department cooler heads prevail somewhere, perhaps in the Solicitor General's office, and they decide not to go ahead with the appeal, in which case our discovery goes forward, or the appeal is filed and ruled on quickly, disposed of quickly. The district court judge wrote a really careful, if I say so myself, but really it was a very carefully written, excellent opinion, and we think it is appeal proof.
And Lori, in discovery, I mean, it's called discovery for a reason, but do you think you're going to find that your group was targeted for your political stance in support of the state of Israel?
Well, here's the bizarre thing. We already know that we were targeted. The way we know that is from documents released by the IRS, provided to the government, to Congress. And Congress, a member of Congress, released a whole bunch of those documents, which the IRS had not anticipated, released them to the public, and it shows that the exempt organizations division of the IRS set up a category of occupied territory advocacy. It was set up right when our application was being reviewed, and one entity was sent to that category, to that special review unit, and the timing fits exactly with our own. So we know it happened. The problem is, because of the judicial system works in a very, very specific way, the judge cannot know that yet. It isn't right for presentation to her. So on the one hand, we know it happened. We know the IRS cannot create such categories. They're not allowed to think about those things. Our political position has nothing to do with whether or not we're entitled to tax-exempt status. So on the one hand, we know that it's a fact, and on the other hand, we have to go through discovery and have the information produced, which will happen when we finally get to discover.
And what is the timetable? I mean, when's the next court date, or when is the next decision due, or anything, any timetable at all?
Well, we did have an August 12th court date with the judge to set forward the discovery process. The government has taken the position that all of that is on hold, and the court date for August 12th is will be postponed. Our position, of course, is that they're not entitled to take an appeal at this point. It's not an appealable order, is our position. And that the August 12th conference with a judge will go forward. So that's the next date as far as we're concerned.
All right. Well, good luck with that, and certainly we'll follow that. Let's talk a little bit about the latest from Israel. And, you know, I tell you, it makes your head spin. When you understand, as I'm sure you do and I do, that we're talking about terrorists. And the media, which isn't the worst of it is that our government is doing the same thing. But the media is treating Hamas as if they're a nation state. They're treating Hamas as if they have legitimate gripes that need to be addressed. They're treating Hamas as if, you know, you could even take what they're saying as truth because they're saying it. I can't believe what I'm watching on television and what I'm hearing from our Secretary of State and from our administration.
Steve, it's even a little bit or maybe a whole lot worse than that. Because as you say, on the one hand, they're treating a terrorist organization, which the United States has designated Hamas to be, as an equal to Israel. And on the other hand, Hamas is the elected government of Gaza. So they're blaming Israel for what's happening to the civilians in Gaza. And yet it's Hamas, voted in by those same citizens, who is deciding where the rocket launchers will be. So it's two levels of incredulity. And for some reason, you're right, we're sort of sitting in a fishbowl watching the rest of the world act as if this is a normal situation. It isn't normal. It is sad, of course, when any innocent is killed. The question is, why are these innocents being killed? Who's responsible? And how can Israel possibly withdraw now, given what's been discovered, all these terror tunnels underground, tunneling under schools and hospitals and private homes just to murder and terrorize Israel? It's not possible. A ceasefire sounds lovely, but not in this context.
I mean, I'd love to take these people, these Mark Lamont Hills of the world, and these other people, even a lot of the reporters who are covering this, and find out where they live and say, okay, you know, if from the state next to you, or from you know, if you live on the border with Mexico or the border with Canada, they were able to dig tunnels, and terrorists who were going to kill you and your children could spring up any second into your living room or into your, you know, your complex. And I mean, what would you do?
Well, and another fact to throw into that mix is that some of these reporters we know are being threatened. And so, you know, it is very scary to be threatened, but heck, if you're going to be afraid of that, you shouldn't be in that job.
You mean, Laurie, you mean threatened by Hamas?
Yes, that is exactly what I mean.
To report what they tell them to report?
That is correct.
Anybody in particular, do you know of any specific incidents?
Yes, I don't have it with me right now. I can send it to you. We have lots of reports exactly of this issue, and we know it's been going on. Even Fatah does it. That we also have reports of. People are very reluctant in this part of the world to do anything that will antagonize murderers and terrorists, with good reason. But again, if you're going to be terrorized and compromised, you should not be in that position.
And of course, the lies, Laurie, the lies of the Jenin massacre, and you know, over the years, so many lies, and the fake funerals, and the repeat bodies going into an ambulance and coming out of an ambulance. Then later on, the same body is seen coming out of an ambulance again. You know, you got to take everything.
And the same families being killed in Syria and then killed again in Gaza.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I mean, you know, you would think the media would learn their lesson, but they don't want to learn their lesson.
They don't want to learn their lesson, and they aren't forced to learn their lesson. And so I guess the ultimate responsibility really is with world leadership. And I put the head of the UN right in that chair of responsibility, because Ban Ki-moon is allowing this to continue. The members of the UN Security Council are permitting this to continue. It is an outrageous, outrageous situation. And I do hold the media responsible for whatever it is that they're reproducing, but they are responding to what is demanded of the consumers. And the consumers are being led in many ways by the government leaderships, including the international bodies.
Yeah, Lori, great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Appreciate all you're doing there.
Thank you so much.
All right, Lori Lowenthal Marcus, ladies and gentlemen, founder and president of Z Street and U.S. correspondent for the Jewish Press here on the Steve Malzberg Show. I got to tell you, and I'm glad we led into the soundbite with Gretchen asking the question, why have we not heard more? Why are people not talking more about this whole Z Street IRS case? And the judge ruling in favor of Z Street recently, and then, of course, the government saying, no, we're going to appeal. No discovery. We're going to appeal. All right, folks, we're going to come back. You know what's next? Give me 5 on the Steve Malzberg Show.